Hey, residents. It's a special little mini, not even an episode, but this is...
Wow,
we have an
it's not the regular intro. It's
No.
fucking
No.
everywhere.
No. I mean, why do a regular intro? We're just here to make an announcement.
That's true. This is a special little sort of double announcement of things. The one we've talked about a little bit on the show, but we just wanted to carve out a little bit of time to say that we are on the Brain Freeze podcast network.
Hell yeah.
Which is awesome. We're in some really great company there. There's some really fun podcasts up, and they're not none of the other ones are comic books or anything. It's just all sorts of different topics.
They're all super drastically different. I'd say probably one of my favorites is The Goods from the Woods.
Yeah.
They're an unbelievable podcast. The way I like to describe it is it's basically sort of a weekly dive into weird pop cultural things.
Yeah.
Whether it's from talking about 90s wrestling to Elvis to cryptozoology. They kind of
go all over the place.
They kind of jump around the whole place, but
very funny. Really
well thought out research for all of these different subject matters. No matter what, you're going to learn something, which is really fun. Yeah. I really love the Elvis episode's probably my favorite episode, and Kyle Clark's on that one.
Oh, okay.
And they in the episode they actually make the sandwich, the
one that supposedly killed him.
Yeah, they make that sandwich and they eat it. But unbelievable. Pat Riley, the Dr. Pat, he's an actual doctor.
What do you mean?
I just mean that.
What are you implying?
He's a. Anyways, he's a hilarious comedian and a doctor and a teacher. I think it's California UCLA, that's the one. He's a teacher there, and then Rivers Langley is an amazing comedian, and we've actually brought him up to our little area here for a comedy festival. Super funny guy. And then Mr. Goodnight, if you guys go back, he hasn't been on the episode recently, but Mr. Goodnight is one of the funniest, strangest people you'll ever...
He's such an enigma.
He's completely an enigma and makes this podcast so unbelievably special. I think if you really give this podcast some time, you'll fall in love with it. Every episode's a dive into sort of, you get really good taste in music every episode, and just really hilarious and fun stuff. But
there's a couple of podcasts that I really enjoy. One is the Hate Locker.
Oh yeah,
which they're from Victoria, British Columbia. Basically, they have a guest on every episode, and they just basically pitch the little things in life that drive them nuts. One of them, it could be as mundane as just a particular strength of breeze, or or it could be more, or how people post on Instagram or shit like that. But it's just a place to bitch about the things that drive them nuts, and then they kind of vote on a winner. I love that one. I think it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's such a funny podcast.
It's Chelsea Liu, a comedian from Victoria, as well as Dan Duval, who's also a comedian from Victoria. Yeah. Super hilarious people. Their podcast is unbelievable. That comes out every other week. It's great.
And I also really I've been enjoying Project Weird.
Project Weird's super fun.
I don't believe in ghosts and things like that, but Project Weird Radio is all about cryptozoology, the paranormal, and some particularly known cases, quote unquote, of those things. But it's a really cool dive into the circumstances of some of these proposed supernatural or extraterrestrial encounters and things like that. It's a lot of fun to listen to. I'm actually surprised at how much I liked it, because that's not
a thing that you're usually into.
That's not a thing for me, but I really, really enjoy this podcast. And I think it's the amount of work they put into it.
Oh, absolutely.
So I dig that one a lot.
The Squeezebox podcast is a podcast that I've actually been following for, have they been longer than 10 years? They've been around for a really, really long time. They were old friends of mine who I was huge fans of their podcast before, and I actually worked for one of them at one point. The one is so Shane, he is a graphic designer and marketing person from Ontario. And I used to work for him way back in the day. He and I have been really long friends. And he's got really into, because now, I mean, he's a business owner. He owns he owns a building, and he talks about that every week of sort of like what's it like being a small business owner, but also they just kind of like shoot the shit about like different ways that they think about life and sort of
it's just kind
funny
of like
anecdotes.
It's kind of like a stream of consciousness kind of
podcast.
Yeah. It's not like there's a particular theme or anything.
No,
they just kind of discuss things. So it's kind of neat to see how the conversation winds.
Absolutely. And then Tom is owner of the Fog Lounge Bar, which is was actually voted by CBC as the #1 music venue in all of Canada.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
It's an unbelievable bar, and I've had bands in the past that have actually played there, and he's got tons of stories just even from that life, and then just sort of day to day of being a father, and he's got a whole mess of kids, and so every week it's sort of something different. They also do this sort of weekly like word games where they'll like come up with two different words, where it could be like beer and like sex toys, and you have to like do word plays with that, and they do it all. They have like a whole Facebook group, and they just go back and forth with like fun word games and stuff. It's a super fun podcast, and I think you guys would like that. And then Headbangers with Holmes.
Do you know what? This one is two guys that used to be in a band, and then they talk about, like being adults now, right? Like having like mortgages and kids and things like that. I was never really like in a band the way that they were. As like a thing to do. But like even like from like a theater background, I really like listening to this, because it's like, you know, when you come from like a creative industry or something like that, and you're doing these like sort of creative artistic pursuits, and then like where does that fit into like a quote unquote more like sort of normal or mainstream kind of version of living, where you have a mortgage and
how do you still make
and things like
that? Because I don't know if you know this, listeners, but if you make music in Canada, you're not going to make money on it unless you're like top 10 like artists. So it's, no matter what level you're at, it's actually very difficult to really make a living. And so they really talk about the reality of being a musician. And if you were a fan of like Canadian like pop punk and metalcore and metal in the like early 2000s, like this is the podcast for you, because they interview the lead singers from these bands who are on Victory Records, and like people who actually have done really interesting things with their careers, and are now sort of like either they stepped down or the band fell apart or whatever it is, but they talk about sort of like transitioning to normal life and what it was like when you had sort of this huge career in music, and then you sort of have to transition out of that. But
it's really like there's some like really fascinating interviews. It's kind of I mean, I like all of these. These are great podcasts.
They are
to be among.
Yes, exactly.
So
there's always got to be one sore thumb in the middle of the group.
Dr. DC podcast is also in there, and you guys obviously know us, but we would appreciate it if you guys gave your support to checking out these other Brain Freeze podcasts, because they're great. There's lots of cool stuff in there, and
but yeah, we want this network to be if not, this isn't a money grab. I don't know if you guys know this, but there's not a lot of money in podcasting.
Yeah.
Well, I know you're thinking big rich guys here.
Well, but this is the other detail, is that we're not just on the podcast network.
Yes, we're running the network.
We're running the podcast network.
Yes. This is our sort of ways to try to take whatever sort of tiny success that we've had and sort of help breach that out to all of these other podcasts who deserve sort of a listen, and hopefully we can act like a collective, and all of their listeners can listen to us, and vice versa. And we create this big community of awesome people, and we know that you guys are great, and we want to make sure that you become listeners for these other great podcasts.
So definitely check them all out. They're all available in like the same places that we are, like iTunes and Google Play and
definitely
Libsyn, but go to like brainfreezepodcasts.com. Check out, I think it's Brain Freeze Pods on Twitter. Brain Freeze Podcast Network is on Facebook. Like go and hit like and check out the stuff. And I mean, there's so much in there across so many genres. So like, please go and support.
Absolutely. This is the official announcement of the Brain Free Podcast Network is launching, but we've got a little bit more news.
Yeah. So second piece of news that, again, we've talked about a little bit on the show, but we want to flesh out.
Yes.
We, for the Dr. DC podcast, now have a Patreon.
That's right.
So what the Patreon means is we've got a $5 level. That's the only one that we have right now.
Now,
But for that, you get 4 extra episodes a month, basically 1 per week. On Fridays, we will release exclusive content.
That's
for
right.
Patreon listeners. And this is stuff that we're excited about because we don't have to fit it into our like regular show format. So that means it doesn't have to revolve around questions or things like that.
Nope.
We can just talk about stuff we're into or that we're watching or playing or whatever. It doesn't even have to necessarily be DC. We can sort of expand our geek talk and the stuff that we're into a little bit. But if you want to check us out, I think it's patreon.com/Dr. DC. Our first episode is going to drop this coming Friday.
That's right.
And as a little like incentive, little fun thing to do.
Yeah.
If for everyone that signs up for the Patreon before that first episode comes out, we're gonna enter you to win a copy of the very, very cool DC Young Animal Milk Wars graphic novel.
Signed by the Doctor and myself.
The most valuable signatures on the planet.
That's right.
So
hard to come by because we've never signed anything.
That's true, actually. This is literally one of a kind.
Yeah, it'll be the first thing we ever signed together. So.
Possibly the only.
Yeah, most likely.
But yeah, so please go to patreon.com/Dr. DC and sign up. It's $5 a month, and you get a full like extra episode each week. And we've recorded a couple already, and they go
really stupid. And if you guys like how stupid the podcast normally,
they are all over the place. Yeah. But also, if you subscribe to our Patreon, then we want to also hear from you what you want to hear us talk about that doesn't sort of fit into our normal model for the regular episodes.
Absolutely, this is our opportunity to. You guys help us craft every episode of the Dr. DC. Now you get to go in an extra step and really, whatever you want us to talk about, we'll make an episode about. So
yeah, just as a little tease, I did finally watch the pilot of Supernatural.
Jacques.
We've had people ask us to expand our theories on Evil Alfred.
Maybe we did something about that.
We may have.
We may have really fleshed that out.
I'm gonna talk about some of the stuff that I've got in my collection that's sort of meaningful to me, that sort of thing. We'll obviously talk about like movies and stuff that we see on the regular show, but Patreon, you get it first.
Oh, yeah.
You'll get our full, like, fresh take on Aquaman when it comes out, and then everyone else can get the drag. No. But if you want to help support and get some more stuff and some different stuff, and it'll be like our own sort of little smaller community within our community, please go and sign up, and you get a chance to win this very, very cool graphic novel that I love to death.
Absolutely. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So just go to patreon.com/Dr. DC, and you can subscribe to us there, and we'll have lots of content coming. This Friday's first one, so get in there.
That's right.
The first come, first serve, and whoever we'll pull from this very, very small group of people that subscribe.
Yeah, who knows, right?
And one of you guys is going to get the Milk Wars. I don't know what that is.
It's such an insane book.
It looks ridiculous from here.
It's Gerard Way.
Ooh.
And Steve Orlando, and basically like it's weirder than Morrison in some ways. I would say. But it's sort of channeling that sort of thing. So it's like the Doom Patrol, Cave Carson as a cybernetic eye, Mother Panic,
Weird.
Shade the Changing Girl interacting with the Justice League of America and the Justice League.
And somehow revolved around milk.
You get to meet Milkman Man.
Milkman Man.
Father Bruce, some crazy characters.
Jeez.
Mr. Nebula is in there.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a wild book. So
that's awesome. So remember again, patreon.com/Dr. DC.
That's right.
And we'll talk to you in a couple days.
Yeah. Adios.
Ciao.